I want to first say thank you so much for all of your support. This has been such an incredible project, and I've had a blast doing it. Wheel Talk itself will be taking a small break because I am focusing on another project that came about. The Voxwomen Insider, powered by Canyon, which is a similar show. It still will have the interviews with pros, interviews by myself and my co-host Loren Rowney, who between the two of us will be able to get way more women in the pro peloton to do interviews with. So that will be there, and then it'll also have an element of race analysis, talking about races to come, riders, teams, all that good stuff. So a whole new podcast for you guys to check out. Like I said, Wheel Talk isn't going away forever. It's just taking a small break while I work on the Voxwomen Insider powered by Canyon. So make sure to follow along with that. If you subscribe to this podcast, please go and subscribe to the Voxwomen Insider powered by Canyon. We are on iTunes and SoundCloud for anybody who doesn't have an iPhone. And here's a little sneak peek of episode 1. The sneak peek will be Loren and I chatting, and the interview done in the episode is with current World Tour leader American Corinne Rivera, the first American to win Flanders of the men and the women, the only woman in the pro peloton to have won 2 World Tour races this year and podiumed on 3. She's having an incredible season so far. She's just made the jump from being on an American-based team to being on a European-based team, and it is really working for her. We talk about being let out by Ellen Van Dyke. We talk about a little bit of collegiate racing, which is very dear to Corinne's heart and mine as well. We were teammates, so we have like some good inside jokes and stuff. But anyway, here is a sneak peek at the Voxwomen Insider powered by Canyon.
Welcome to the Voxwomen Insider powered by Canyon, where we delve into the heart of women's cycling. This is your go-to podcast for race reaction and analysis, exclusive rider interviews, and behind-the-scenes action in the peloton from the perspective of the pros.
I'm Abby Mickey, a professional cyclist for Colavita Bianchi. I've been racing a couple years, and just recently started a podcast and also started working for Voxwomen. So when I started working for them and met Loren and we gelled really well, we were like, you know what, we need to get this podcast going. So Loren, who are you?
Hey everyone, I'm Loren Rowney, Australian. Former pro for Orica Scott. This year I decided to retire from racing. Still love the sport. That's why I'm still hanging around. Very fortunate that Voxwomen has gotten me on board to do a little bit of broadcasting, some social media, and now finally a podcast, something that I've been talking about for a while. And Abby and I have followed each other on social media for some time, so it's pretty cool that we're getting to work together on this little project.
We've stalked each other. You know.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of know each other just through social media.
I know, it's hilarious we've only met once. I think that's social media does that to people, though. They're like, oh, we're friends because I follow you on Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, you can know everything about a person based on Instagram.
It's so true and a little terrifying.
Yes.
But it's cool for cycling because it's like you have this direct line straight to all the riders, like all of your favorite riders who you like love to watch race. You can watch them like their whole lives on social media. I mean, those that like put it on social media, and it's really cool because you feel connected to them.
I think it's really key, particularly with the women, because we don't get to see much of the women's racing live. I mean, I've been putting out tweets lately to all the fans out there just saying, what do you want to see? What do you want to hear? and they just really want to know more about the riders. I mean, yeah, one day we're going to have more live coverage, and there's some great race tweeting out there, but it's the stories behind the riders that I think people are really craving. That's what we're going to hope to achieve a little bit on this podcast is all those stories and, from in the peloton and out of the peloton.
Yeah, so every week we'll be bringing you guys race reports from the races, talking about the races that have just happened, the races that are coming, and then we'll always have an interview with a rider so everyone can get to know the women who make up the professional peloton and the ones who have cool stories to tell, because a lot of them have really, really cool background stories and are doing a lot with their lives even outside of racing, and it's sweet.
And later on in the show, you're going to hear from Corinne Rivera, one of Abby's favorite bike riders. She's so not true. Biased at all. Not at all. I mean, Corinne has had a phenomenal season. I will say that in my blog at the start of the year, I did pick her as my standout rider for the year. She was going to be the breakthrough act.
Lauren, you called it.
And
kudos.
Yeah, I called it. I know my stuff. What can I say? So, that's going to be really cool to hear from her a bit later. But to start off the show, we're just going to have a bit of a chat about what's happened in the World Tour, just a brief rundown of who's been on the podium, who's won what races, and what we can look forward to.
Yeah, so speaking of Corinne, she just won the Ronde van Vlaanderen Tour of Flanders, the first American, male or female, to ever win Flanders, and undoubtedly the biggest win of her career. She outsprinted Gracie Elvin and Chantal Black for that win after a really exciting breakaway with a lot of the top riders in the race that, like, I think everyone watching it was like, oh, these four are going to stay away for the rest of the race, but they didn't. And that's just kind of we'll talk about this a bunch, I feel, but it just shows that the peloton is just so deep this year. There's so many good riders and good teams. But yep, Corinne won Flanders. That was cool. Raise your hand if you cried.
So amazing. Yeah, I was super stoked for her. Obviously, Gracie Elvin being a former teammate of mine and a good friend, I really wanted to see her get up for the win. But for her to come second was just an amazing result. And I'm sure in the future we'll probably see her win that race one day. I mean, she is just one of those hard workers.
How long has Gracie been racing?
So Gracie's been pro since 2013.
Okay. So
she was a former mountain biker. No, she is like a very interesting story, and we're going to be talking to her, I believe, on episode 3, which will be really cool. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But Gracie's had a great start to the year. I mean, she got second in Dwars Vlaanderen, and quite often what they say is look to that race to see who could potentially win or podium Flanders. And I mean, she ran second there and ran second in Flanders, so there was a bit of truth to that. But she's got a lot of big things coming for her, and I look forward to having that chat with her in the next week or so.
Yeah, that'll be sweet. So flashing back to Strade Bianche, that was the first Women's World Tour race of the year, third year running, and it was won by Italian Elisa Longo Borghini, which was an awesome finish. She outsprinted Cassia Niedoma and Lizzie Dagnan on the final climb, after being in a little select group that was chased down and then like broke back away. And I mean, really all of the racing so far has been so exciting and fun to watch.
Oh, it's been amazing. Like, I really enjoyed watching that finale. Cassia, I think, was probably the strongest rider on the day, and had a bit of bad luck. And obviously Elisa was super strong, but she was the only rider to follow Elisa really in those finishing few hundred meters. And obviously, they wanted the win, but it was a great result for WM3, being a new team this year, headed by Marion Vos. They still haven't got a race win in the World Tour, which can be frustrating at this point, but obviously the season's quite long. And then third on the podium was Lizzie.
Mm-hmm.
She's had a quieter start to this year. But, you know, I think we can probably see big things coming for her when we reach a tour of Britain. And I'm not sure if she's heading to California, probably not.